Hare Krishna, everybody. Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class from Naperville, Wisconsin, Illinois. My name is Ganga Narayana, and today I'll be speaking on verse number Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter 25. Chapter number 15, verse number 25. So let me just start with the invocation prayers. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai. So I'll start with Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me share my screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yacha Vrajanti Animisham Rishabranuvrittaya Dure Yamahi Uparinaha Sprahaniya Shilaha Bharturvitaha Shuyashasaha Katanuraga Vaikalvya Baspa Kalaya Pulaki Kritangaha Yacha Vrijanti Animisham Rishabhanuvrittaya Dure Yamahi Upari Naha Sprihaniya Shilaha Bharturmitaha Suyashasa Katanuraga Vaikalvya Bashpa Kalaya Pulaki Kritangaha Yacha Vrijanti Animisham Rishabhanu Vrittaya Dure Yamahi Upari Naha Sprihaniya Shilaha Bharturmitaha Suyashasa Katanuraga Vaikalvya Baspa Kalaya Pulaki Kritangaha. So I'll now read the word to word synonyms. Yat, Vaikunta, Cha, and Brajanti, go. Animisham, of the demigods. Rishabha, chief. Anuvrittaya, following in the footsteps. Dhure, keeping at a distance. Yamaha, regulative principles. He, certainly. Upari, above. Naha, us. Sprihaniya, to be desired. Shilaha, good qualities. Bhartuhu, of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord. Mitaha, for one another. Suya Shasaha, glories. Kathana, by discourses. Anuraga, attraction. Vaikalvya, ecstasy. Bashpakalaya, tears in the eyes. Pulaki Krita, shivering. Angaha, bodies. Angaha, bodies. Translation: persons whose bodily features change in ecstasy and who breathe heavily and perspire due to hearing the glories of the Lord are promoted to the kingdom of God, even though they do not care for meditation and other austerities. The kingdom of God is above material universes, and it is desired by Brahma and other demigods. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is clearly stated herein that the kingdom of God is above the material universes. Just as there are many hundreds and thousands of higher planets above this earth, so there are many millions and billions of spiritual planets belonging to the spiritual sky. Brahmaji states herein that the spiritual kingdom is above the kingdom of the demigods. One can enter the kingdom of the Supreme Lord only when one is highly developed in desirable qualities. All good qualities develop in the person of a devotee. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 18th chapter, verse 12, that anyone who is Krishna conscious is endowed with all the good qualities of the demigods. In the material world, the qualities of the demigods are highly appreciated, just as, even in our experience, the qualities of a gentleman are more highly appreciated than the qualities of a man in ignorance or in a lower condition of life. The qualities of the demigods in the higher planets are far superior to the qualities of the inhabitants of this earth. Brahmaji confirms herewith that only persons who have developed the desirable qualities can enter into the kingdom of God. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the devotees' desirable qualities are described to be 26 in number. They are stated as follows: he is very kind, he does not quarrel with anyone, he accepts Krishna consciousness as the highest goal of life, he is equal to everyone, no one can find fault in his character, he is magnanimous, mild, and always clean, internally and externally. He does not profess to possess anything in this material world. He is a benefactor to all living entities. He is peaceful and is a soul completely surrendered to Krishna. He has no material desire to fulfill. He is meek and humble, always steady, and has conquered the sensual activities. He does not eat more than required to maintain body and soul together. He is never mad after material identity. He is respectful to all others and does not demand respect for himself. He is very grave, very compassionate, and very friendly. He is poetic. He is expert in all activities, and he is silent in nonsense. Similarly, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, verse 21, the qualifications of a saintly person are mentioned. It is said there that a saintly person eligible to enter into the kingdom of God is very tolerant and very kind to all living entities. He is not partial. He is kind both to human beings and to animals. He is not such a fool that he will kill a goat Narayana to feed a human Narayana or Daridra Narayana. He is very kind to all living entities. Therefore, he has no enemy. He is very peaceful. These are the qualities of persons who are eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. That such a person gradually becomes liberated and enters the kingdom of God is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, verse 2. The Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, verse 24, also states that if a person does not cry or exhibit bodily changes after chanting the holy name of God without offense, it is to be understood that he is hardened and that therefore his heart does not change even after he chants the holy name of God, Hare Krishna. These bodily changes can take place due to ecstasy when we offenselessly chant the holy names of God, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a long purport. I'll keep going. It may be noted that there are 10 offenses we should avoid. The first offense is to decry persons who try in their lives to broadcast the glories of the Lord. People must be educated in understanding the glories of the Supreme. Therefore, the devotees who engage in preaching the glories of the Lord are never to be decried. It is the greatest offense. Furthermore, the holy name of Vishnu is the most auspicious name, and his pastimes are also non different from the holy name of the Lord. There are many foolish persons who say that one can chant Hare Krishna or chant the name of Kali or Durga or Shiva because they are all the same. If one thinks that the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the names and activities of the demigods are on the same level, or if one accepts the holy name of Vishnu to be a material sound vibration, that is also an offense. The third offense is to think of the spiritual master who spreads the glories of the Lord as an ordinary human being. The fourth offense is to consider the Vedic scriptures, such as the Puranas or other transcendental revealed scriptures, to be ordinary books of knowledge. The fifth offense is to think that devotees have given artificial importance to the holy name of the God. The actual fact is that the Lord is not different from his name. The highest realization of spiritual value is to chant the holy name of God as prescribed for the age. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The sixth offense is to give some interpretation of the holy name of God. The seventh offense is to act sinfully on the strength of chanting the holy name of God. It is understood that one can be freed from all sinful reactions simply by chanting the holy name of God. But if one thinks that he is therefore at liberty to commit all kinds of sinful activities, that is a symptom of offense. The eighth offense is to equate the chanting of Hare Krishna with other spiritual activities such as meditation, austerity, penance, or sacrifice. They cannot be equated at any level. The ninth offense is to specifically glorify the importance of the holy name before persons who have no interest. The tenth offense is to be attached to the misconception of possessing something or to accept the body as oneself while executing the process of spiritual cultivation. When one is free from all 10 of these offenses in chanting the holy name of God, he develops the ecstatic bodily features called pulaka, pulakashru. Pulaka means symptoms of happiness, and ashru means tears in the eyes. The symptoms of happiness and tears in the eyes must appear in a person who has chanted the holy name offenselessly. Here in the verse, it is stated that those who have actually developed the symptoms of happiness and tears in the eyes by chanting the glories of the Lord are eligible to enter the kingdom of God. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that if one does not develop these symptoms while chanting Hare Krishna, it is to be understood that he is still offensive. Chaitanya Charitamrita suggests a nice remedy in this connection. It is said in verse 31, chapter 8 of Adi Lila, that if anyone takes the shelter of Lord Chaitanya and just chants the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, he becomes freed from all offenses. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Beautiful, beautiful purport here. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So it's a very long purport. The name of this chapter is um, Descriptions of the Kingdom of God. And this follows the description of uh, Diti and Sage Kashyapa. And after they have um, after Diti has begotten the um, the children of from sage Kashyapa uh, at a time that is inauspicious. And so the demigods are really troubled by the bad omen, and there is darkness and uh, all that surrounds in all the directions. And as is the protocol, the demigods approach Lord Brahma. And here, Lord Brahma is essentially building up the story leading up to the Kumaras visiting Vaikunta, and then the pastimes of Jaya Vijaya that follows, leading up to uh, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. So again, that's really where we are in this particular verse. Lord Brahma is essentially describing the qualities of people in the spiritual world, or who can enter the spiritual world. So one thing we see again and again, just one second, my screen here seems to have been locked. Okay. So one thing that we see again and again is the focus on qualities. The focus is always been on qualities, and never so much on the actual position. Um, and we've seen that even in the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, verse number 8 to 12, which is amanitvam, adamitvam, where the items of knowledge are described, and the items of knowledge are described in terms of qualities, starting with humility and pridelessness. And so even in this particular verse, um, the focus is on development of qualities. It is not necessarily achieving any particular designation. It, be it yes, initiated devotee versus non-initiated devotee, whether you are a double initiated devotee or even higher than that, you're a brahmachari or a sannyasi. So it is, irrespective of whether we are a leader or a servant or a leader servant, irrespective of what the um, status that we may achieve as a consequence of either being in this, operating in this society, or a spiritual organization. None of these actually matter at the end of the day. The focus is, the question is always, is what qualities have we imbibed? And those are the qualities that, those favorable qualities are what qualify us for entering into the spiritual world. So we have, Narada Muni's, Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam Tatparitmena Nirmalam. So again, we have these upadhis, or labels and designations, and um, the qualifications to associate with the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees is through development of qualities, not through accumulation of designations. So um, now it is also possible that each of us have some of these qualities, right? We may exhibit, there are these 26 qualities. And if I read through the list, I say, okay, there are moments when, I am humble. There are moments when, I tend not to find fault in somebody's character. So we may have momentarily uh, instances where we exhibit certain qualities. But in this particular case, as we try to read these verses, um, these verses, we need to understand that, this is not meant to be a list that we used to judge others. Is like, oh, is that person a pure devotee, or is that person a kanishta, or is a madhyama, or a uttama adhikari? So these lists are not necessarily to evaluate or judge other devotees and to find fault in others, but rather a yardstick to understand how mature we are oneself is, as a person, I am as a person in my spiritual pursuit. 20 years that I have put in Krishna consciousness, how far is it, how am I progressing in terms of my spiritual path? Are any of these qualities um, sustaining? So that is another aspect of these qualities. It's not sufficient that these qualities happen momentarily. When situations are well, I may be humble. When somebody is praising, I may feel a lot of humility or the need to display humility. But is that humility also present when I am being accused or am being abused? And so, again, these qualities uh, are are symptoms of um, souls who have um, stabilized in their spiritual consciousness, and these qualities are um, sustaining. They exist irrespective of the external circumstance. Now, as you know, if we look at the nectar of instruction as it is given by Srila Rupa Goswami, the first verse talks about the uh, qualities that are desirable and that um, essentially qualify one person to be a spiritual master or a spiritual teacher. And then there is qualities that are degrading. So there are yamas and niyamas. And so similarly, even in this particular purport, um, Srila Prabhupada is describing about what are those qualities that take one that essentially qualify us for this entry into the spiritual world. And then the antidote to um, or how do we get there is through the chanting of the holy name. But um, the blockers in being able for the medicine of this holy name to work on our hearts is the offenses to the holy name. And so he gives this list of offenses that one should be careful about in execution of or in chanting of this holy name. So there's chanting of the holy name, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshashtakam has shared that very nicely, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So we have this heart which is covered by um, dust, and essentially the chanting of the holy name is the transcendental scrub that essentially helps clarify one's heart and for these qualities to manifest. So there's what should be done has to be well supported with what should not be done. Very similar to if you want to stay healthy, yes, you want to do some positive things, eat healthy, have a healthy lifestyle. And then there's also the don'ts is, cut out on junk food and cut out on a sedentary lifestyle. So there are always do's and don'ts that are required to support any positive activity. And the same is being expounded here. So I, uh, I also wanted to state that as I was talking about the spiritual qualities and how do you ensure that we can sustain those qualities? Again, sustenance is a quality in the mode of goodness, right? And the mode of passion is the mode of passion is something that will go up and down, whereas in the mode of goodness, we can actually sustain these qualities. So again, we have a lot of activities that have been prescribed, um, that essentially help mold our life in the mode of goodness. And it is in that mode of goodness that one can hope to have some stability and use as a springboard to then um, enter into the spiritual realm. And so the sadhanas, the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti that we are engaged in, is an important step whereby we follow the prescribed activities. We may not necessarily have a taste for it. We may not have tears coming out of our eyes every time we pick up a bead bag in the morning or the evening. But nevertheless, we do that as a consequence of the relationship that we have with the spiritual master and the gratitude that we have for the spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada. And with that gratitude, we, that's the base feeling that we can leverage, to chant the holy name of the Lord. And then, of course, taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord, um, in as we progress in our chanting. So we have the chanting as a predominant prescribed activity or method, and hence Srila Prabhupada is again reminding us of the 10 offenses to the holy name, because irrespective of everything, the chanting of the holy name is one activity that is critical to clearing the heart and for these qualities to manifest. So I'll stop there and see if there are any comments or questions.
Hi Krishna Prabhu, this is Yamuna Jivandas. Thank you for the exposition on a beautiful purpose. Transcendental scrub, I like that phrasing. I was thinking, in addition to self-evaluation related to these qualities, another reason or one authorized or proper way of using these qualities to evaluate others is, in the beginning of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks um, Krishna, right? What are the symptoms of a person who's transcendental consciousness? How does he sit? How does he walk, etc.? And part of the reason that Arjuna is asking that question is so that Arjuna knows who to take shelter of. So, in addition to self-evaluation, it seems like it's good to have this set of qualities, not to judge others, but to discriminate who we can take shelter of as truly advanced souls.
Okay,
Just a
thank
thought.
you. No, beautiful point. I'm glad you brought that out. Um, Towards the end, I wanted to mention that, but anyway, thank you so much for bringing that point up. Great point. Discrimination is really important. We need to understand what the ideal is so that we can actually be guided appropriately and take shelter of the right personalities. But what that shouldn't turn up into is a window shopping exercise where we continue to compare and contrast personalities, and that becomes part of our dealings with the world around us or the people around us. That would be a very pathological position to be in. So thank you very much. Unfortunately, I have to get into work call in a minute. And so again, thank you so much. And you have a wonderful rest of your day. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.